do this in 1 minute. I will be a great celebrity and very popular. I'm a private pilot. I don't fly these days, but I spent many years flying airplanes. And there's one thing that's a truth, that if you see an object in the sky and it is getting larger but remains stationary, you are on a collision course. My wife, who was sitting over there, we were flying up in Maryland once, and she said, "Didn't you say to me things get bigger on the horizon?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, those four airplanes are getting much bigger." The answer to that is you brake. Ideally, both parties brake. Both aircraft brake. There's no collision. If one aircraft brakes, you may get away with it. It seems to me that China is the stationary aircraft getting closer, and we get more and more upset, more agitated about it, without really having a plan where both can break, where both can get away from a controversy that has no solution. At the present time, there is no real solution in the South China Sea. We need a different accommodation with China so that that can be part of something else rather than the lever, the center of power. This has happened over time. I think that part of what we can do is to seek a larger negotiation with China. We also should seek many other dialogues with China, but not to concentrate exclusively on the current situation in the South China Sea, to get around it so that we give something else to China, or we do a deal with China of greater interest to China than expanding the islands in the South China Sea. We need to continue, in my opinion, to sign as many treaties as possible. Nations actually mostly abide by their treaties. Sometimes they violate them. I think we need an accommodation with China, and I think it's a very difficult situation to come to any sort of accommodation because of an asymmetry that exists in information. I'm glad it was mentioned. I spent a lot of time working on situations in South Africa. One of the problems there was not that the press was controlled by the government, but simply there were not enough ideas. There were more ideas about the future of South Africa in Cape Town, in London and Washington than there were in Cape Town and Pretoria. This is a situation exacerbated. We have state control of the media. China has been accelerating nationalism. It has been stirring up its people with a single point of view. This is very bad. The last point I would make is that it is absolutely excellent that we communicate with the Chinese on every level. And joint military exchanges are very valuable. I spent a lot of time in the nuclear weapons arena, and one of the truths there was that right through the Cold War, we shared information about weapons with the Russians. We shared insensitive explosives for detonations. We shared better fail-safe switching. Many levels of cooperation between great nations are necessary, and new accommodations and new ideas to get us over and past old sticking points. And I do agree that South China Sea is one enormous and potentially dangerous sticking point.